It's my pleasure to introduce to you some folks who have joined the administration in academic affairs. First, Brian Beatty. Where's Brian? Down here. Brian? Okay, there he is. Okay, please stand up. Brian, of course, is no stranger to all of you, but what is new for Brian is that he is the new Associate Vice President, or AVP, for Academic Affairs Operations. Brian was selected after the retirement of Enrique Rivero Schaefer to hold this redefined academic Associate Vice President position after we did a national search. You all know him well, as he was an associate professor and chair of the Department of Instructional Technologies, who served on many Senate committees and been a member of the Senate himself. He was also chair of the Academic Program Review. He received his PhD from Indiana University and has had a career in the Navy, as well as considerable industry experience before academia. Thank you, Brian, for joining us. Next, we have Betsy Keene, and Betsy is up here. Please stand up. She is the interim dean of the Graduate College of Education. Although Betsy has been affiliated with San Francisco State for about 6 years now, she came to us after 10 years at Sacramento State and several years at the University of Nebraska. Her PhD is in chemistry from the University of Wisconsin-Madison, and she formerly was a public school teacher. Not surprisingly, her scholarship focuses on science education. Welcome, Betsy. And finally, joining the dean team is Linda Oubre, our new dean of the College of Business. She comes to us most immediately from UC Davis, where she served as head of corporate relations and business development and chief diversity officer for their College of Business. After receiving her undergraduate degree from UCLA, she earned her MBA from Harvard. She then pursued a lengthy career in business, including at the LA Times, as an executive at Walt Disney Company, and as the co-founder of Bright Smile. Welcome, Linda. And I'm actually now very happy to turn the podium over to Linda Oubre, who will introduce the new faculty in the College of Business. Linda.
Thank you, Provost Rosser. I think what we'd like to do is have all the faculty stand up as your name is called. For the College of Business, I'd like to introduce Shingle Lin. Shingle here? Okay. Shingle Lin received his PhD in economics from George Mason University. His dissertation chair, Vernon Smith, is a 2002 Nobel laureate in economics. Shingle's field of research is in the area of financial economics and econometrics, and he will be joining our finance faculty. Shingle comes to us most recently from the Haas School of Business at UC Berkeley, where he was a postdoctoral fellow. He has published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences. So we'll give him a hand even though he's not here. Susan Rowe, who I think I saw earlier. Here's Susan. Susan is joining the Hospitality and Tourism Management Department. She received her PhD in Hotel Administration from UNLV. Susan's field is human resources and organizational behavior. She spent several years in human resources at the Wynn Las Vegas Resort, Bellagio Hotel, and Le Cordon Bleu College of Culinary Arts. She has published an article in the Gaming Research and Review Journal. Give a hand to Susan. Mark Sterick. Hi, Mark. Mark Sterick joins us from George Washington University in Washington, D.C., where he was a professor and department chair. Mark earned his PhD in strategic management from the University of Georgia. His field of expertise is in management and sustainability. Mark will be a member of the management department and will also serve as the director of the Center for Ethical and Sustainable Business. Mark is a very prolific author with recent publications appearing in the Journal of Business Ethics and Business Strategy in the Environment. And last but not least is Katerina Tantalo, who comes to us most recently from the University of Texas at Arlington, where she was a lecturer in strategic management. Katerina received her PhD in management science from Luis Guido Carli University in Rome, Italy. I hope I said that right. Her field is in strategic management and sustainability. She has published an article in the International Journal of Technology. Katerina has joined our management department as well. Thank you, and next I'd like to introduce Betsy Keene, the Interim Dean for the College of Education.
Again, will the new faculty in the Graduate College of Education please stand as I call your name? Davide Soloria. Dr. Soloria has an EDD from the University of California, Berkeley. He joins the Department of Equity, Leadership Studies, and Instructional Technologies. His research interests are in the areas of leading for education change and the role of education leaders in school reform and transformation, all from an equity and social justice perspective. His research centers on exploring the relationships among educational policy, leadership practice, and teacher practice in a time of increasing complexity. Dr. Soloria was most recently the Associate Superintendent of the Pacifica School District. Amber Friesen. Dr. Friesen received her PhD in special education, early literacy intervention from Indiana University, where she was a visiting assistant professor in special and early childhood education. She joins the Department of Special Education in the Early Childhood Special Education Program. Her research interests include early interventions that both support and empower young children and their families. She is especially interested in early literacy acquisition, family literacy practices, and meaningful homeschool collaborations. Maya Henry. Dr. Henry earned her PhD in speech-language pathology from the University of Arizona. She joins the Department of Special Education in the Communicative Disorders Program. Her research interests include the nature and treatment of acquired neurogenic disorders of language. Her work has included studies of how the brain supports language and how speech and language are affected by stroke and by neurodegenerative disease. She was most recently a postdoctoral fellow at the Memory and Aging Center, Department of Neurology at the University of California, San Francisco. Maria Zavala. Dr. Zavala is joining the Department of Elementary Education. Her PhD is in Learning Sciences and K-12 Mathematics Education from the University of Washington. Her research interests include equity and social justice in teaching and learning of mathematics. She has a focus on the contextual, social, and political factors that impact education of Latina youth across their schooling, but particularly in mathematics. Let us welcome all of our new faculty. Dean Ken Montero will now introduce the new faculty in the College of Ethnic Studies.
Good morning, colleagues. The College of Ethnic Studies has one hire this year, a very special hire. We wish to introduce to you Dr. Anantha Surha, our newest assistant professor in Asian American Studies. Anantha earned her PhD in English from Rutgers University at New Brunswick. Anantha's areas of expertise include Asian American, South Asian, and Arab American literature, history, culture, critical race studies, women, gender studies, as applied to social justice and community organizing. So as you see, she continues a tradition in ethnic studies of being multi- and transdisciplinary in her approach and her commitment to community relevant and just applications to her academic work. Anantha has a book manuscript in preparation that's based on her dissertation on South Asian American culture and community from 1991 to 9/11, and other publications on post-9/11 South Asian and Arab American arts and literature. She was recently cited by the National Center for International Diversity, based at the University of Michigan, as an exemplary diversity scholar. This citation recognizes early career scholars who have demonstrated a successful commitment to diversity-related research and teaching. Anantha comes to us most recently from a prestigious Chancellor postdoctoral fellowship. I think it's the only one in the nation that's continuous in Asian American Studies program at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. So please join our college in welcoming Dr. Anantha Sudhakar. Thank you. I'd like to introduce my colleague Don Taylor from the College of Health and Social Sciences.
Good morning. The College of Health and Social Sciences welcomes 5 new faculty to the college. I'm going to wait and see who comes up first to make sure I have the right introduction. Alex Gerald has served many years as a lecturer at San Francisco State and is the new assistant professor in criminal justice studies program in this newly formed School of Public Affairs and Civic Engagement, PACE for short. Alex received his Bachelor of Arts in Broadcast Communications from here at San Francisco State in 1989, his MA in History from San Francisco State in 2002, and his JD from the University of San Francisco Law School. His areas of specialization include criminology theory, criminal law, crime and punishment in historical perspective, and crime and gender. This fall, he's teaching 2 sections of CJ 401, criminal profiling in a class dealing with forensic evidence, criminal psychology, and legal issues around investigations. Alex is in the process of writing a book on the Alexander family homicides, a famous murder case in Los Angeles in 1984, which involved the family of Kermit Alexander, an all-pro player for the San Francisco 49ers. This book looks at Los Angeles history, street games, victimology, and the death penalty. Welcome, Alex. Her full name is Maria Ernita Joaquin, but she asks that you call her Ernie. She's an assistant professor for the Public Administration graduate program in the new School of Public Affairs and Civic Engagement, and will be teaching the introductory MPA courses in public administration and policy. Her research and professional interest largely involve investigating the causes and effects of the declining capacity of public service organizations and the drivers, nature, and effectiveness of public management reforms, especially as they affect accountability, performance, and citizen engagement. She's been writing on these areas since she received her doctorate in political science in 2007 from Northern Illinois University. Ernie grew up and received her early education in the Philippines, and she's excited to connect with the Filipino American and Asian Americans here at San Francisco State. Having lived in the Illinois cornfields as a PhD student and the Los Angeles desert for her early teaching years, she is really glad to be here. She loves birdwatching and photography and can't wait to explore the Bay Area without freezing or burning up in the process. Welcome, Ernie. Marty Martinson received her master's in social justice education from the University of Massachusetts, Amherst, and her master's and doctorate in public health from the University of California, Berkeley. Her research interests include critical gerontology, political economies of aging, and social construction of aging and health. Her dissertation explores elders' subjective meanings of community involvement and healthy aging. Marty's professional interests also include engaged teaching and the use of critical pedagogies in community health education. She is a consultant and former project director of the California Senior Leaders Program and Alliance, a program that enhances the availability of and provides support for community building and advocacy efforts of diverse elders throughout the state. This semester, Marty will be teaching the undergraduate Community Health Education Theory course and the Master's in Public Health course, Health Education Planning, Management, and Administration for Community Change. Welcome, Marty. Robert Pope has joined the nursing faculty as an assistant professor this fall, and actually received an email from Robert this morning reminding me that he has a Friday-only morning course and is teaching. But we'll welcome him and talk a little bit about him. He graduated from California State University Hayward with a Master's of Science degree in nursing as a geriatric nurse practitioner and earned his doctorate from the University of California, San Francisco. While training as a geriatric nurse practitioner at a VA hospital, he began seeing older vets with substance use disorders and developed an interest in understanding the basic social processes surrounding illicit drug use among older African Americans. Prior to being awarded the prestigious SAMHSA pre- and postdoc fellowship, Dr. Pope was awarded a John A. Hartford Scholarship, whose mission is building academic geriatric nursing capacity. Dr. Pope has presented his research findings on social determinants of substance abuse in older African Americans at national and international conferences, and has published a paper on his research in the Journal of Transcultural Nursing. As an assistant professor in the School of Nursing, he is teaching Nursing 312, the Nursing Foundations course, which is also the GWAR course, and Nursing 324, Geriatric Nursing Theory, which he's teaching now. Welcome, Robert. And Tony Sparks has been a lecturer at San Francisco State since 2006 and joins the faculty as an assistant professor in urban studies and planning, another program in the School of PACE. He received his MA in cultural studies from Claremont Graduate University and a PhD in geography from the University of Washington. His research interests are in poverty, social policy, and the social dimensions of law and governance. His current research focuses on San Francisco's Behavioral Health Court and the governance of mental illness in San Francisco. He will be publishing his first book soon and about the homelessness and citizenship in Seattle's Tent City 3. Welcome, Tony. And now it is my pleasure to introduce Paul Sherwin, the Dean of Liberal and Creative Arts.
Thank you, Dean Taylor. We're a big college, and I have 11 new faculty to introduce, so you'll be listening to me for a while. Since earning her PhD from the University of Minnesota, Sarah Crabtree had been an assistant professor at Fairleigh Dickinson University, with 1 year spent as a fellow at UCLA's Center for 17th and 18th Century Studies. A historian of the Atlantic world, she has taught or is eager to teach courses on such topics as U.S. cultural and intellectual history, U.S. women's history, public history, and Atlantic piracy. At the time of her hiring, Sarah had 3 publications plus 3 articles under review at prestigious journals. She's nearing completion of a book manuscript, A Holy Nation, the Transatlantic Quaker Ministry in an Age of Revolution, which explores how this sect's principles and activist agenda clashed with nation states, due, among other things, to their embrace of pacifism, their opposition to slavery, and their advocacy of gender equality. A second manuscript taking shape will consider how various 18th century transatlantic religious groups asserted an ideal of plainness in response to prevalent excesses in the early stages of the consumer and industrial revolution. Welcome, Sarah. Sashi Cunningham brings a distinctive set of skills and experiences to her position as a multimedia specialist in the journalism department. She majored in history at Brown University and received her MJ from Berkeley's Graduate School of Journalism. Sashi spent last year learning about issues facing residents of coastal communities in Mexico and Central America, while putting the finishing touches on 2 grant-funded documentary projects she directed, produced, wrote, and edited. Previously, she had been senior associate producer for PBS Frontline and Frontline World, and had been a multimedia journalist at the LA Times for 3 years, generating its first multiple platform stories in conjunction with KQED Radio's California Report, the Center for Investigative Reporting, and Current TV. Whether single-handedly or as a team member, she has produced a remarkably varied, fascinating, and socially responsible body of work that is international in scope, along the way garnering 2 Emmys, a first-place award in new media from the Southeast Asian Journalist Association, and many other accolades. Welcome, Sashi. A native of Germany, Frederick Green received his BA from Cambridge University in the UK and his PhD from Yale in East Asian Languages and Literatures. He joins our Foreign Languages and Literatures Chinese program after a stint as a tenure-line faculty member at Macalester College in Minnesota. He will bring to state teaching and research interests that include Chinese literature from the late imperial period to the present, Chinese cinema and contemporary culture, translation and cross-cultural interaction, and Sino-Japanese relations, with 2 articles to his credit, among them a 2011 study in arguably the top journal in his field. He has a 3rd currently under review and is well on the way toward completing a path-breaking book manuscript, Transcultural Romanticism, Cosmopolitanism, Nationalism, and Nostalgia in Literature and Film of 20th Century China. On the horizon is a 2nd book project examining continuity and rupture in post-socialist Chinese cinema. Welcome, Frederick. How in 1 minute properly to introduce Kathy Kudlick to our campus community? I think she's the ideal person to carry on Paul Longmore's legacy as director of what will henceforth be the Paul K. Longmore Institute on Disability. I'm convinced that Paul, whose death we lamented 2 years ago, would share my estimation of her as a person, an indefatigable advocate of social justice, and a powerfully creative thinker. Appointed as a tenured professor in history, Kathy had been a member of UC Davis's faculty since 1989. Her credentials include a Berkeley PhD, 2 major books on disease and disability in post-revolutionary France, with a 3rd ambitious study in progress, and service on the board of directors of the Society for Disability Studies and as president of the Disability History Association. Much as Paul did, she has contributed mightily to defining the field of disability studies as an interdisciplinary enterprise. I expect that under her leadership, the Longmore Institute will become an internationally recognized force for challenging what most of us take for granted about disability and ability, and so also about the human condition, thereby provoking change in typical attitudes towards disability and disabled people. Welcome, Kathy. Sylvan Lin, maybe he has only, Sylvan, you're here, out there, okay. Holds degrees from institutions with strong industrial design programs, a BS in design from Carleton University in Ottawa, and an MS in design with a concentration in arts, media, and engineering from Arizona State, where he received NSF funding every year, a rarity for someone not in the traditional STEM fields. This facility, with both traditional fabrication techniques and such technologies as digital 3D printing, laser scanning, and rapid prototyping, meshes well with the curricular needs of the design and industry department, as does his expertise in both industrial design and visual communication. He has had considerable experience in product development, from designing low-cost, low-tech inflatables while working in Shanghai, to devising a sophisticated rollator capable of identifying obstacles and assisting a visually impaired elderly person to navigate an unfamiliar environment by means of a unique audio feedback system. Sylvan also has some publications that reveal him to be highly reflective and socially responsible, as well as an excellent writer. Welcome, Sylvan. A visiting assistant professor at Boston College last year, Ann Linton received her PhD from Yale in spring 2011. She garnered the Marguerite Pear Prize for the year's best dissertation in the French department, and she served as the student member of the editorial board of Yale French Studies, long a premier journal in literary criticism and theory. Her critical acumen is evident in an article on Balzac's appropriation of features of a then controversial painting by Delacroix, published in 19th century French Studies, the flagship journal in her primary field. The dissertation, which she's revising for submission to a university press, is theoretically bolder and large in scope, drawing on hundreds of medical case studies, legal documents, and both popular and canonical novels. She discloses a common 19th century obsession with and anxiety about hermaphrodism or androgyny that threatened to overturn widely accepted gender norms and hierarchies. Anne's teaching interests are aligned with her research interests, but extend to the wider arena of interdisciplinary topics in 19th and 20th century French cultural studies and literature. Welcome, Anne. Number 7. Although Ron Martinez received his MS in Applied Linguistics and Second Language Acquisition from Oxford in 2007 and his PhD in Linguistics from the University of Nottingham in 2011, his career in TESOL, teaching English to speakers of other languages, dates back to the early 1990s. He has taught a remarkable variety of courses, including graduate seminars in San Francisco, Spain, Brazil, and the UK. And he has contributed to large-scale research projects at Nottingham, Oxford, and Cambridge. Early on, he produced many textbooks and teaching materials aimed at English language learners with diverse proficiency levels and special needs. His more recent work maintains a decidedly applied component, but is also firmly grounded in linguistic and pedagogical theory, and this nice balance is evident in publications in such journals as TESOL Quarterly Language Learning and Technology and Applied Linguistics. Our MA TESOL program has much to gain from his breadth of expertise in areas ranging from corpus linguistics and lexicography to language testing and educational technology. Welcome. Ron. Directly after earning his PhD at the University of Iowa, Samuel McCormick joined the faculty of Purdue School of Communication in 2007. A sampling of the courses he offered there: contemporary rhetorical theory, rhetoric in the Western world, rhetoric and Marxism, rhetoric and ordinary democracy, is indicative of the pedagogical range and interdisciplinary interests he will bring to our communication studies department. It was not for nothing that we appointed Sam with 2 years credit toward tenure. His already strong publication record was augmented by 3 2011 articles, as well as the monograph Letters to Power, Public Advocacy Without Public Intellectuals, issued by Penn State University Press and recipient of a major annual award from a professional association. Here he explores subtle rhetorical strategies deployed by Seneca the Younger, Christine de Pizan, Kant, and Kierkegaard in delivering unwelcome advice to figures of power. A second book on the near horizon will focus on contemporary U.S. politics, examining tactics that local communities use in an attempt to make their voices heard by the powers that be. Welcome, Sam. Alexandra Pappas has followed an impressive career route that has brought her to this point. 2004 PhD, Wisconsin, visiting assistant professor, Michigan, 2004-05, Mellon postdoctoral fellow, University of Pennsylvania, 2005-06, assistant professor, University of Arkansas, beginning fall 2006, fellow, Harvard Center for Hellenic Studies, 2011-12, and now Raoul Bertrand Chair in Classics at San Francisco State. Alex would be a newly tenured associate professor at Arkansas if she hadn't accepted an appointment here as an assistant professor with 2 years credit toward tenure. She has produced 3 recent articles, and with an editor's encouragement, she's on the verge of submitting her manuscript, Graphic Art, Alphabetic Images in Ancient Greece, to a major university press. This study offers innovative readings of a diverse body of works in which words and images are inextricably interconnected in fascinating ways. She's also making progress on a second monograph examining literary and visual representation of Greek dreams. Her students will benefit from seminars on these topics and from the broad array of courses she's prepared to teach on Greek language, literature, and culture. Welcome, Alex. Adding luster to the cinema department's already strong animation area, Ben Ridgway comes with a background that includes high-level experience in the video game industry as a design and conceptual artist, an extensive teaching portfolio developed as an assistant professor at 2 institutions, most notably as head of Northeastern University's animation program, and a body of work as a maker of experimental films that over the years have demonstrated increasing intellectual sophistication and technical virtuosity, while attracting concomitant increasing notoriety. Ben's recent 3D animations dispense almost entirely with narrative. Feasts for eye and ear and mind, they present richly colored geometrical shapes that at times eerily assume organic form, recurring in seemingly endless cycles, yet with surprising and beautiful transformation. At some deep level, these animations explore the nature of cognition and perception, as well as dreams and heightened states of consciousness. His work has been showcased in film festivals worldwide and has received many awards at prestigious venues. Welcome, Ben. Finally, Hanan Tigay's appointment marks the first time creative writing has not hired someone whose forte isn't limited to 1 or 2 of the department's 3 areas of emphasis: fiction, poetry, and playwriting. A talented fiction writer, Hanan is also adept at creative nonfiction, a multifaceted literary form. The breadth of his teaching at Stanford and UC Berkeley and of his writing is remarkable. He has taught creative nonfiction, novel writing, and journalism of many sorts. He has published accounts of troubled places and circumstances for Newsweek, the New York Times, and UPI. In 2011, McSweeney's issued its lengthy Special Populations Unit, Arab Soldiers in Israel's Army. There's an e-book on Shaky Ground, a California town fights nuclear power in a seismic fault zone. And a documentary about U.S.-Israel relation is in the works for a PBS Frontline. He has written screenplays and short stories. His grim and hilarious recently completed novel, The Monkey, will doubtless soon find a publisher. And he has a contract for an astonishingly strange nonfiction story, quest memoir meditation titled Unholy Scriptures, Freud's Suicide Scandal, and the Bible That Rocked the Holy City. Okay? Welcome, Hanan. And now, welcome one and all. Now Sheldon Axtler will introduce the new faculty joining the College of Science and Engineering.
Thank you, Dean Sherwin. It's my honor to introduce 2 new outstanding faculty in the College of Science and Engineering. Kevin Eschliman. Here. Kevin is a new assistant professor in our psychology department. He received a BA in psychology from UC Santa Cruz and a PhD in industrial organizational psychology from Wright State University. Kevin's research efforts are devoted to understanding how organizations can improve by protecting their most valuable resource, their employees. Kevin spent the past 3 years as a civilian research psychologist with the Air Force Research Laboratory. Last year, Kevin was recognized as a top contributing Air Force scientist with the Class II Civilian Award, which was given to him for his research and organizational interventions to foster greater well-being and innovation amongst Air Force scientists. At the time we made the hiring decision last spring, Kevin was only a year past his PhD, but he already had 12 published papers, with 5 more submitted for publication. Kevin's professional philosophy is driven by theorist Kurt Lewin's notion that there is nothing more practical than a good theory. However, Kevin says that his personal philosophy is driven by the notion that there is nothing more pleasing than a good veggie burger. Welcome, Kevin. Andrea Swee. Andrea is a new assistant professor in our biology department. She received a BA in integrative biology from UC Berkeley. She then stayed at UC Berkeley as a National Science Foundation pre-doctoral fellow, receiving a PhD in integrative biology in 2009. Andrea comes to SF State from the National Institutes of Health postdoctoral fellowship at UC San Francisco. It is especially fitting that Andrea has a postdoc at UC San Francisco because that is where she was born. At the time we made the hiring decision last spring, Andrea had published 7 papers in peer-reviewed journals, one of which received national recognition from the Faculty of 1000 as a top article in the biomedical sciences. Andrea's research focuses on tick-borne pathogens. When she tells people that she works on Lyme disease, they often give her ticks they have collected from their dogs. Andrea asked me to tell you that she loves dogs, but she already has plenty of ticks in her collection, so please don't give her any more. Thank you, Andrea.